Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Today we have a very special guest and a very old friend who is now the CEO of US Business Association, and he has really worked very hard with the Mexican American community to help them grow in innovation, business and succeed in USA. So without delay, let us welcome Shri Tayde Aburto.
Thank you, Eric. Thank
Did
you
I
for the
pronounce your name properly?
pleasure. Oh, of course. Pleasure to be here today.
So Tayde, before we start off, you have been working very hard with the, I know earlier you were with the Hispanic US Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and then we met with the gentleman you introduced me to, and then now you're with US Business Association. So how many businesses you have helped, and after that we'll come up with other details. But how many businesses have you helped so far in North America?
Well, so far since we started in 2008, it has been 14,000 so far.
Okay, 14,000.
No,
14,000.
14.
One four,
14,000.
14,000 businesses. That's a
Since
huge, huge.
2008. So we help about, like 1,200 almost per year.
Mhm. That's a big, big number, and that's a 14,000 businesses they have helped. Now, coming back to the active membership that you have currently in the US Business Association that you run, how many businesses are getting helped over there?
Well, right now we have a little over 1,200 members, active members.
Hmm.
And that's with the Hispanic Chamber of E-commerce. The U.S. Business Association of E-commerce, we did the soft launch in June, but in reality, we started in business in September 2020. So it's been like 2.5 months.
It's a very difficult time to start a new operation, right?
Yeah, of course. No, and working with or starting a new business association it's always a challenge. But with this pandemic, we were kind of like rushed into launching the U.S. Business Association of E-commerce because we were getting calls from the general market, non-Hispanic business owners asking for questions like, how do I start promoting my business online? How can I launch an e-commerce store? Because you know that right now it's the main tool that small businesses are using to promote their products and services through this pandemic, because a lot of them are closed, shut down. So what we've been talking about since 2008, about the importance of having an online presence and promoting your business over the internet. Now it's a necessity. It's not just a privilege, or an option that you can consider. Now they have been forced to start increasing their online presence in order for them to sell their products and services and promote their businesses.
So in this pandemic time, before that, so innovation, how do people are not getting chance to meet people, and people are not getting a chance to interact and go out or travel? How do you think the small businesses are getting affected, especially from the point of view of innovation perspective?
Well, I think it depends on the industry, of course, but overall, and I'm talking about before the pandemic. One of the reasons why we launched the Hispanic Chamber of E-commerce in 2008 is because we realized that the lack of participation of small businesses in the digital economy, it affects the overall performance of the economy. So in order for businesses to stay competitive, they have to be innovative about processes, internal processes, how they promote themselves, how they differentiate themselves. So I think innovation lies in different layers within a business, and it is important for them to stay on top of current trends and dealing with, like right now with the pandemic. Like one way of dealing with the pandemic is going through this process of, a lot of people are using this word a lot, digital transformation, which in simple terms is just like incorporating the internet, incorporating digital tools into your operation to promote your products and services, optimize your processes. That helps you reduce money, etc. So if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you always have to think about innovative ways to grow your business. And you know this firsthand, Ari. I mean, you have run so many successful technology companies, and you have done very successful exits over the years, that you understand the importance of innovation in a business at any level that you see it, from the way that you hire, the way that you manage your inventory, your resources, the way that you manage your cash flow, etc. I mean, we always have to be on top of things in order to stay competitive in a global economy, whether we like it or not. That's where we are right now. Yeah, I mean, our competitors are not just in our local market, they are globally, and that's how we need to start thinking about our business as a global entity competing at the global level.
So people talk about innovation a lot, and I think you and I very well know that very few people understand the meaning of innovation. And innovation usually comes when there is a crunch, and that's why when there is a crunch or a crisis, and the way you react to that crisis is sometimes that is known as innovation, like cutting costs or improving. So uh, so according to you, how much truth or fact plays an important role in innovation? And that's pathology of business.
The Sattology of business, that's a really good one. You have to trademark that one. No, listen, like, that I work a lot with more on the micro level, like the smallest of the small businesses in our community. And when you are a new startup, when you are a family-owned business, it's extremely important that you are true to yourself, and in a way that you manage your resources to the best of your ability, because you know that a lot of the small businesses that we deal with, they started their businesses with either their personal savings or using credit cards. So their margin of error is very minimum. And that margin of error can happen anytime in the process of you trying to grow your company, right? It can happen within the first year, second year, third year. I think right now the average for a company to make it is like 5 years, right? Like if you make it after 5 years, it, you may be in the right direction, right? So in that time frame, it's extremely important that you conduct an assessment of how you're running your company in a very honest way. Because if you're fooling yourself about like your growth, or like the traction that you think that you're generating in the market, sooner than later the reality is going to hit you. It's going to hit you hard, and you may end up closing your business. So being true to yourself and incorporating innovative ways to run your business is the only way that you can compete in a highly competitive marketplace. I mean, the market is saturated with products and services. So the best way for us to differentiate ourselves and our business is by having like a deep passion for what you do. When you have passion for what you do, and then you are true to your values, I think like passion and values can help you create a community that will engage with your brand, and then will help you to start gaining some momentum in the marketplace. I was talking about this on a Saturday on a live that I did, that oftentimes a small business doesn't even need marketing dollars to grow the company, because if you have that community that starts supporting you, you're going to be able to grow your company without investing thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing. Of course, that once you reach a certain point, if you have the ability or the budget to start investing in your marketing campaign, you can scale your company faster, right? But we have so many success stories here in the US of companies that have grown just because the ownership was very passionate about what he or she or they were doing. And also they were true to their values throughout the whole process. I mean, they never put their values at risk just to try to make it to the next level, right? When you are growing your company with honesty, passion, and values, sooner than later, things are going to connect. And then you can see companies like Apple, like something so majestic that everyone falls in love so deeply with you.
No, you made a very good point there, and also about the passion you said, and many people have the passion, but the passion dissipates very fast. So
Yeah.
perseverance is something which is very much needed also. What is your view on that?
No, I agree with you. I mean, when things don't start to go the way that they're supposed to go, or at least according to your plan, it's very easy that people can start getting frustrated and disappointed and don't make it to the through the through the process, right? But I think like, and I want to go back to what I said, like passion and just like you said, perseverance. You know, like you have to persevere when things are not going the way that they supposed to go. But you always have to have some type of inner motivation that can be greater than those challenges that you're facing, because barriers or challenges in business, they're always going to exist no matter how smart you are, how much money you have. You're always going to face challenges along the way. So you have to acknowledge, and probably you were mentioning something before our interview about the importance of meditation and being kind of like in peace with yourself. Like if you understand what is important for you, what drives you, when all these things start to happen, the unknown barriers and challenges start hitting or coming your way, you're going to be able to go through that phase if you have that internal energy that is greater than those challenges.
Yeah, in last answer you also compared Apple. So everyone wants to become Apple, but they don't know what Steve Jobs went through. He went through days of hunger, searching for food, and struggled a lot. And he succeeded in an area which he knew best. And I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there, may not be in the same industry as computer peripheral industry like what Steve Jobs was in, but they might be making a small taco shops, or maybe making a small burger joints or whatever they want to make. For them the role model changes. So what is your experience in guiding people in mentorship? Because ideally they should do something which is their strength area or which is their strong areas.
You know, you just mentioned like a little. I'm probably off topic right here, but you mentioned tacos, right? And I'm gonna tell you something. Like if you go to Mexico or any Latino neighborhood here in the U.S., you're probably gonna find like a dozen places that sell tacos, right? But there is always one, and one in the subway that everyone knows, and there is always one place that is well known for their tacos. So it's like, how can you explain, like most of these guys, they get the same vendors, the same vendors for beef, for chicken, for all the meats that they sell at their places, right? Or the veggies or whatever. But there is one that has this uniqueness that makes them like the best tacos in the South Bay in San Diego, right? So I think it has a lot to do with, well, a little bit of the word of mouth that you created, like that community that helps you to build that reputation. But it's also like how much attention to detail you put to your business, to the products and services that you sell. Like for example, like for tacos, it's extremely important that you have really good tortillas, right? If you don't have good tortillas, no matter how good is the meat, it's not gonna be a good taco. And then you add salsa or whatever. But what I'm going with this, Ari, is like you always have to find. I mean, in business terms, you would say like your competitive advantage, right? But I think that you are, as a business owner, you have the ability to integrate or to infuse your passion and your love for what you do into your products and services. And I think that's what Steve Jobs was able to do. Like he was so concentrated on the design and the beautiful experience and the visual effects that and the motions that all these like computers and the operating system created in you, that I think that was the key for success for Apple, or one of them, right? So we always have to try to think that way, like how can we put something out to the world that is not just going to help to solve a problem, but it's also is going to help to create a good experience or a good emotion by using your product or services, because at the end of the day, that is important too. Like there are many business associations across the country, and for me, it's always important that people feel like family. One of the reasons why I started the organization is because, besides the digital divide that I noticed that existed in 2008, and unfortunately until this day, they're still out there. But one of the reasons that motivated me to start this association was like I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, right? And I saw like my grandma starting her own or growing some little businesses in her hometown and stuff. And I can relate to a lot of our members right now that are kind of like some of the same stories that I saw growing up, with my relatives and close friends. So for me, like when someone comes to our business association for help, I just try to provide them as many access to resources as I can. Like if it was my mom or my grandma asking for some help, you know what I mean? So for me, it's important that they feel that personal touch in our service, and it's not just like, oh, here I'm gonna serve another small business. It's like I don't see it as an obligation. It's more I mean, it's my passion, and that's why I've been doing it for 12 years. But at the same time, like it's very rewarding because what I get from them once I'm able to help them out is more than what they pay for their membership.
So you did talk, and since I know you and I've been interacting with you, so I know a little bit. Now in the USA, with the financial crunch, I think there's a huge money in the US. Capital has huge money, but the thing is, because of the current situation we are having, the flow of capital is very constrained right now. Is currently constrained, and we the US itself is looking for huge markets now abroad, because that's how you can make money. I mean, you have to bring money from outside in, and earlier the US practices of financing the deals are going to go away, because the US capital system internally is going to be stretched for some time to come because of the current situation we are in. So what role can countries like Mexico can play, which are neighbors to USA, where it can increase the US export markets? What is your view on that? And that's how the companies in those countries can grow. The small businesses there can grow using this export-oriented model from the US economy.
I have always been a big promoter of small businesses thinking outside the box and outside the US as exporters and importers. And I think, and you're right, markets like Mexico, and I mean in Latin America, Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, etc. I mean, they are niche markets for certain products and services that are produced in the US, and US companies need to start looking at other markets like India, China, Australia, whatever. Like they offer options that probably are a little more challenging to get in this market, because something that it could be a commodity here, it can be something like very attractive in other markets, right? So you can even sell your products, even if you go through the process of or the expenses of exporting your product, you can probably find some markets where you can get a better price for it than trying to sell them here in the US. So thinking globally, it's extremely important for small businesses. And to be honest with you, I feel like right now with the internet and the increase of e-commerce that is happening right now, and even like the changes of the USMCA, where small businesses, for example, from Mexico into the US, they can sell products for, as long as they are under $800, they don't have to pay taxes for it. So there are some tax incentives for businesses to go globally. They just need to do a little research and see what those incentives are in different countries, depending on the different trades that we have signed with other countries. But it's important that I think as part of your business model, you incorporate a percentage of global sales, because I mean, right now you can sell, and I haven't gotten tired of sharing this example of over the last month, but I met this lady that she's selling cupcakes from Venezuela into the US. So she's exporting cupcakes from Venezuela to the US.
Wow.
As impressive as that may sound, like when I heard about it, I was like, nah, that cannot be true. I mean, we are inundated with cupcakes here in the US. I mean, you can find cupcakes everywhere. But she found a niche, she found a niche with those people from Venezuela and those that know whatever milk or whatever process they have down there to make these cupcakes. And of course, that she's selling them for a way better price than what she could sell them in Venezuela. Like a dozen down there probably is like $1, and she's selling them here for 9. So she's almost like increasing the value. That despite all the again, like the expenses and stuff, she can still make a bigger profit selling her cupcakes here in the US. And just like that, I mean, there are other examples of uh, Mexican companies coming into the US market and vice versa. US companies going into the Mexican market. Of course, Mexico it's a key partner for the majority of the states in the US. I think is a top trade partner for at least 27 states. So that tells you like is the transactions that are happening just between these two countries are in the billions of dollars on a monthly basis. So there are many opportunities for, even if you are a home-based business, you can look into global markets for your products or services. And it is important that you are aware of that. And right now with this pandemic and people searching for products and services online more actively, it just opened up new opportunities for small businesses, not just in the US, but across the country, across the globe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, one of the coming back to the Apple, and then that will be the last point of discussion today. So going back to Steve Jobs' lifestyle and how he persevered in the beginning time is a very hard story. He's a Syrian. Is from the family of Syrian Americans, and then he was struggling with hunger, and then he was focusing on meditation big time, and then he started, and he, even though he had a short life, but made something which all of us are making money on even today, and using those equipments
Mm,
to do our online business whatever we can.
mm.
So he that played a very important role in his life. So last point, that's what we do with Sattology meditation programs, how we can use that part of increasing the strength of an individual initiative. What do you think is the positive side of that for individual business owners?
For increasing the what? I'm sorry.
Mental capacity for the individual, like the perseverance and all these things, they definitely come from meditation side. So how important those you feel in making your business successful?
Look, I think it's extremely important, and I have mentioned it several times, throughout, I'm sorry, over the years to members of the association. Like, if you are not in the right state of mind, if you are not in peace with yourself and with your loved ones, it's very difficult to run a successful business when you are under so much internal stress. So you have to start with a meditation process, and of course have other activities throughout the year, throughout the day, I'm sorry, that help you to stay focused, productive, and on a top peak performance and everything that you do, right? Because you know time is money, and we don't have a lot of time. I mean, the day has 24 hours, and we have to sleep at least 8. If you are me, some people sleep 4, and that's fine with them. But I don't know how long they're gonna live. Sleeping 4 hours a day. But I think it's and I made that mistake. Like when I was starting the Hispanic Chamber of E-commerce, I remember that I had probably like a year and a half where I was sleeping about 4.5 hours, 5 hours, until my doctor told me, look, Tayde, you're not gonna live that long if you keep at this pace. So you have to protect the biggest asset that you have in your business, and that's your health. And that stay very recorded in my brain. And since then, I give some time for myself, and for meditation at my own way, and I try to eat healthy and I exercise. And believe it or not, when I started this regime, I just feel like when I need to be focused or stay focused on a specific assignment or working on a deal or whatever, it's easier for me just because I feel like my brain is it's getting the nutrients that it needs and also the rest time that it needs to perform at the levels that I require them to perform at certain times throughout the week or throughout the month, etc. Right? And also besides the meditation and everything that we do to stay healthy, I have always invested a lot of time in personal development. So I'm always encouraging our members to read topics that are relevant to their industry, to read books that can help them to run their business better. Like right now, I'm reading a book on financial uh, terms and stuff, and it's not my forte. But when my accountant is telling me some stuff, I want to be able to understand what he's telling me, right? So it's extremely important that we don't just invest in ourselves from a healthy perspective, but also in terms of like how can we keep improving our skills so we can run our operations better, right? And the best way to do it is through education and the constant investment of time in anything that has to do with uh, tools and the knowledge that is going to help us to run our businesses better.
No, in my research that I found out that in the best motivation for your team, because if your team is motivated, you're going to sell more, you're going to have better operations, and you'll also cut down costs also. And so corporate, even if it's a small business or big, it doesn't matter. And it's generally in the large companies, like you said, personal development is focused based on individuals, because it's the last man who counts, just like in an army. It's the last man who counts, because it all depends. As a CEO, as a promoter, you can be highly motivated because you have a goal in mind and you are the creator of the product. But if you don't have a team to deliver it, it's all useless, because you're not going to be everywhere. It's not possible. Therefore, large corporations like GE, meditation has become an important tool in employee empowerment, important tool. And the same principle applies, and that's why I started this Sattology corporate meditations, so which will actually help in making your entire team productive, not just you, because they need to buy in. They are the ones who are facing the customers every day. And you may have all kinds of tools, e-commerce, you can have all kinds of tools, but they're not going to function if the last guy is not willing to take down your order. He's slow, he misses out on a deal.
Mhm.
So last point to you. So how do you think, if we take the meditation as a group exercise for a corporation, how can it help them innovate more? What do you think on that?
Well, you just mentioned productivity, and I know for a fact that some uh, companies that I know that they have either uh, sponsored or implemented meditation as part of their employee benefits because they understand that what you just said. If you have uh, relaxed, happy, in the right state of mind employees, they're going to perform better. They're going to be better co-workers. They're even going to have a better uh, family relationship at home. I mean, it's just like you are in when you are in peace with the environment. Like if someone and I tell my wife this, like when you're driving on the freeway, sometimes there are some people that are like rushing and cutting lanes and stuff. And it's funny when you see those cars that are passing you by and doing all that, and then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, you are at the same uh, uh, distance, right? Um, but when when you are in peace, you don't have to be like cutting lanes or being like mean to other people out there. It's just like when you don't have those internal issues. I think you are a reflection of peace in everything that you do, and when you are in peace with yourself and with the universe just keeps sending you good stuff to you, like
Absolutely.
and if something bad happens, like someone cutting you lane on the freeway, or being mean to you, whatever. You don't even care. You what I do is blessings to you, my brother. Whatever is bothering you, I hope that you can find peace sooner than later. And that's what I do. Instead of saying a whole bunch of like bad Mexican words to him or her.
So one of the things I've seen that I've seen some of the case studies that they have from different HR departments is that through these programs, the personal life of the employees is also happy, because huge pressure is there. When you want to run a business, and everybody's salaries need to be taken out, and it's a huge pressure for a promoter. But with this, the personal lives of those employees who are also working becomes better, because then they are able to deal with their own emergencies. It doesn't come on your HR department, to actually solve those issues. So
Yeah.
it's like a self made solution for each one of them. And there are 5 factors, we'll cover later on sometime other, we'll cover it. But overall, I have seen that it helps everyone. And most in today's time, and in the times to come, as the competition heats up, because the moment this pandemic is over, it's going to be a rush.
Mm-hmm.
And it is better to be ready for that,
Mm-hmm.
and to prepare for that. And then when the right time comes, that's how you race ahead of your competition, because it's ultimately, for money, it's always the race of the fittest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
So thank you for your time, Tayde, today. And
Oh, thank you, Eddie. I appreciate the interview and the invitation, and it was nice seeing you.
So thank you, viewers, for watching it, and those who are watching it live right now. This will be available on YouTube shortly, and you can comment over there. And we'll come back with Tayde. I'll call Tayde again for another session on some other topics related to another specific segment of small industry. Until that time, keep watching, keep subscribing, and do join our corporate meditation programs. Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you.